My name is Matt, welcome back to the shop, and this is another Aliens discussion. I enjoy doing these, it's something that is close to my heart. Let's just get on with it. I'm going to be doing two videos based around this subject that are these kind of formats. Number one is going to be the issues with Aliens, as in Alien 2. There are plot issues. Not plot issues. There are. There's a few things to talk about Aliens. I consider Alien very close to a 10 out of 10. Very close. And audience and critic responses on Rotten Tomatoes just say for Alien, and you got to remember this is all retrospective because Rotten Tomatoes and the internet didn't exist when Alien was made. So in retrospect, people think that Alien is a fucking excellent film. They do rate Aliens 1% higher. I disagree. I know why people like it, because you're getting a lot of the normie votes of people who don't really care about science fiction, but they just enjoyed the film anyway. And the other video I want to do is a comment that I read in regards to Alien Earth that says, I don't know why everyone's complaining. The crew of Aliens films have always been stupid. Wrong. No, that's categorically wrong, but fuck it, people like to say it anyway, to defend the shit that they seem to clap at. But let's talk about Aliens 1986. So, there are issues with Aliens 1986, and I'd like to go through them. Now, it's one of my favourite films, right? So this is not a... this is, trying to be unbiased, trying to look at it and say, and try and review it as... Imagine if I didn't like Aliens, or I wasn't, hell-bent on it like I actually am. What are the problems with Aliens? And we're going to ignore stuff like, you can see that bit of tape there, or any kind of film, slight faux pas, little fuck-ups or something like that. I'm not really bothered about stuff like that. Stuff, unless it's major, unless it's obvious, like people reappearing, disappearing, reappearing, teleporting aliens, teleporting facehuggers that seem to go in orbit and then come back down when you need them to happen 30 seconds later. Obvious massive fuck-ups, which there aren't in these films. In Alien and Aliens, there aren't any ones like that, really. It's just little fuck-ups in their own universe, in a sense. And then there's a few things that I want to talk about. Now, I did listen to a video. I listened to it more than watch it. I can't remember the name of the guy. He goes on EFAP now and then. And I can't remember his name. Poor sod, I should have remembered his name. I'm shit with names as it goes, generally. But he was saying something I want to contest about the idea of Newt and Ripley having a daughter and all that kind of jazz. He says that, having the scene that was deleted, that's it. He talks about the deleted scenes and were they needed, were they required. I actually disagree massively. I think, that's actually another video, I think that the deleted scenes in Alien do nothing but pretty much make it worse. Now, I know people are going to disagree with that, and I will explain why. Actually, we'll do that. We can very quickly do that. But I just will start with that. Sod it. This is all off the cuff. This is all off memory. If I make mistakes, I make mistakes, right? It just is what it is. I don't do scripts, all that kind of jazz. So, let's just talk about the deleted scenes, right? So there's tiny little ones. The tiny little ones I'm not bothered about. It's the main ones. So the main one is Amanda Ripley, right? We'll call that the Amanda Ripley one. Another one is the colony before, right, beforehand. Number 3 is the... Oh, shit. The third deleted scene is the sentry guns. Right. The fourth deleted scene is the Dwayne plus Ellen bit. I don't know how he spells Dwayne. There's many ways you can spell Dwayne, so I'm just going to put D. And what else was there? There's some little tiny bits like the discussion with Van Leeuwen about the colonies, the conclusion of the hearing. The conclusion of the hearing, you can have it, you can not have it. I don't think it really matters either way. I think case closed is enough. And it wasn't Capital Opinions. I can't remember who it was. It might have been Capital Opinions. I can't remember because I watch so many videos on these things. I kind of get lost in what's what. But, the video is, the aliens deleted scenes. If you just look that up on YouTube, you'll find it, I'm sure. I agree with a lot of the points, but let's talk about these points that I don't like or disagree with. So the Amanda Ripley thing. I believe that having the Amanda Ripley thing adds concern. Not adds concern. It's added to beat the audience over the head with the fact of why Ripley would care. So it's like, oh look, Ripley had a daughter, and now Newt's her replacement daughter. That's why she'd go back for her. And I'm like, wait a minute. Do we, the theatrical cut came out first without this scene, so all of these scenes have been removed for the theatrical cut. No one was going, wait a minute, Ripley going after Newt like that is retarded. Why would she bother? It's not like she has her own daughter that's missing. Or even, and you don't even have to add that last bit. It wasn't retarded that Ripley does that. She went back for the cat in the original. She cares about people. Right? That's what she does. That's part of her character. The fact that they beat you over the head with the Amanda Ripley thing, and I know if you nuked Amanda Ripley, then that would nuke Alien Isolation. To a point, it could be her cousin. It could be her niece that went looking for her auntie, or her cousin, or any other, or a sister. Amanda Ripley could quite easily be Sigourney Weaver's sister. I don't know why they didn't do that instead. Obviously, this is James Cameron came first, but what I'm saying is, if you deleted Amanda Ripley, you could just make, Ripley didn't have a daughter, then you could just make Amanda Ripley her cousin or her sister, quite easily, and you could have it set 4 years after the Nostromo disappeared, which would actually probably fit a bit better, I believe, but that's, open to interpretation. I think James Cameron didn't have enough confidence that people would get why Ripley would sacrifice herself like this, which I don't believe, because he removed it because of what 20th Century Fox told him he had to, and no one was confused. So, in a sense, that goes to show that this scene isn't required. I do think it's a nice touch that the picture is Sigourney Weaver's mum, but holy shit, that woman's 60, what's she meant to be, 66 or 64? Holy shit, she looks old for that age. That's a really, especially nowadays, that's a really, really, really old-looking 64-year-old. The wrinkles on that bitch, even though the picture was really pixelated, is terrible. Number 2 is that she died quite young to say it's meant to be the future. She died childless, so then Ripley has... you can see why James Cameron wrote all these things. Ripley has to die childless because... if she didn't die childless, these would be Amanda Ripley's grandkids, kids, and they'd be Ellen Ripley's grandchildren, so she's more likely to stay. Well, we can't have that. Amanda Ripley has to have existed but gone in that time. We didn't need that. She says, I said I'd be back for her 11th birthday. It's like, oh, so why didn't you mention this in Alien? There's no mention about wanting to get home. There's no mention of, I have a daughter. Now, you don't have to put that in there, but you'd think there would be something. You know what I mean? She doesn't mention in her signing off note that she wants to get back home to her family. It's hopefully the network pick me up, end of. There's no message to Amanda. there's no nothing. You know what I mean? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Imagine if she died in cryosleep. She didn't say anything to her. It just seems a bit... It's like this. People say it adds to it. And I'm like, in a sense, it makes it more mushy. Because you've created a problem, James, by saying she's got family. But then you have to pull it back and say, no, she died alone and she's dead. And she died alone with no children. Well, she was married, but she had no children. And she died. And there's nothing actually here to keep you. So basically, we're upsetting Manda Ripley for no real reason. Apart from, it'll let the audience know that she has a daughter and she loves children. But we didn't need that in the original, and no one noticed when we released it without this special scene. So we don't need this. I think that's just writer insecurity. It's just a scene that we... And she never mentions it again. She never mentions in it, I lost a daughter to these aliens. I lost anything. You don't mention it anymore. It was like an extremely easy deleted scene to delete if you get... It's in isolation. Alien isolation. It is in isolation that you can quite easily just remove and quite easily add back in. I don't think it really causes massive problems. I just think it makes it a bit more awkward. And we don't have to be beat over the head with this. Well, she loves children and daughters especially. It's like, all right. Because without it, we were fed the theatrical version without it. And we didn't all sit around there going, why has this bitch been stupid? Just let the little girl die. That's not what would happen, is it? You know, James Cameron was playing on the fact that she had this motherly attachment to this little girl. The Marines are Marines, but this woman cares about this little girl who's on her own. And not only that, there is a foil here in a sense. Ripley feels like Newt does. She doesn't know these people. She is alone. She's lost everything. She's lost all of her friends on the Nostromo, any friends back home. She's lost her own parents. Maybe she had a sibling and maybe they're gone. Well, they will be gone. Ripley is isolated. She's out of time. And now Newt is on this station where she'll have to leave. Newt will have to leave the colony, which is her entire life. Her family are dead and gone and destroyed by the alien. So Newt and Ripley are very much kindred spirits in the fact that they've been through very similar... They're in the same predicament, at least. Let's put it that way. So that's that scene. Number 2, the colony before. I fucking hate this scene. It makes me cringe every time I see it. Why? It's like Hadley's Hope. And then... population 159. It's like, oh, wow. Right, moving on. And then the acting is bad. Every single person is in that scene. It's like, this is operations and they pan the camera. Count how many people there are. Fucking hell. There's 159 people in the colony. Why are all of them in this one fucking room? In that one room and the corridor, it's like half of the colony is just at this end. When you see a map of the colony, you know, it's like buildings, 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 buildings with a couple of bridges, a couple of pods that come off like this, an air traffic control tower, all this shit, the East Gate, the South Gate, all this rubbish, right? You see the Marines go through it. It's room after room after room after room. There's upstairs, downstairs, and every single one of these modules. In operations in this corner, fucking 90% of the people are there. It's like, wow, you're all crammed in here like fuck. And they're doing everything. We're welding shit, we're planning stuff. It's like, this colony was built years ago. Why are you all welding it back together? You got to remember, this is before the alien infestation even happens. It's like they're all crammed in this one corner, working busily away. It's like, why is it all so cramped? You don't need to get this many people. You're doing this on a budget. Don't have this many people. You don't need this many uniforms. You don't need this many people. You don't have to pay this many extras. Fuck me, have it 15 people max. But no, there's fucking loads of people in there. And my big ball ache is that the actors aren't the best, right? It's a bit cheesy. I hate the hammering of the building better homes. I think we don't need that. Building better worlds, the Wayland bit, I don't think we need that. It just seems a bit in your face. Look, we're going to pan down to building better worlds, Wayland Yutani. Just feels a bit like... It feels a bit like what Alien Earth would beat you over the head with today. So I don't like that either. And then the other thing is, we hear about this colony. Oh, shake and bake colonies. They do this all the time. It's fine. It's fine. Oh, hang about. We've lost contact with the colony. And just like Ripley, we don't know what the colony looked like. We don't know what to expect. So when they're flying over in the dropship, and Gorman says, just do us a flyover, and they're looking, and she's like, and she's on the monitors looking like that. And it's like, well, they still have power. We're in the same position the Marines and Ripley is. We don't know what to expect. So when the doors open and you see the view too fast, guys, like, get out of the fucking way, I want to see what's going on. And you see this colony, and every room we go into, it's like eye candy. Look at this, and look, there's a donut half eaten and a cup, and there's a hole in the roof, and look at these corridors, and look what's down there, and oh, this is awesome, what's down there? It's this whole idea of what did this place look like, but holy shit, it didn't look like this. And that mystery of not knowing what this thing looks like, oh, fucking hell. This mystery of not knowing what the colony looks like is what's cool, because we're learning every step of the way. All the way up to all the way to when we get to the atmosphere processor, when they fight the hive and they come back to operations. By that time, we've now established where everything is. We know what the colony looks like. We know what it looks like inside. We know what the corridors look like. All this shit. We know what operations look like. We know what medical looks like. We know where the facehuggers are. We know that the nuke goes in the fucking vents. We've been to the atmosphere processor. We know what that looks like. We know what the hive looks like. We pretty much have got an idea and a handle on where everything is. But it was, wow, what a fucking introduction. All the way up to let's rock. You're like, it's always, what's that? What's that? Your eyes are on fucking stilts. It's not like all of that gets revealed when we see the colony before, right? It's not like that all gets spoiled for us. But some of it does. Operations, these people. I don't want to see the people alive. It's shocking when you see them. Where are they all? And then you see them stuck to the walls. It's like, fuck, what happened here? And that's very much like Alien. What is the derelict ship? What is the space jockey? What is all of this? What is with the silos? And we don't find out. Fuck Prometheus and Covenant. It's nonsense. We don't find out. And that mystery is what makes the film amazing. You get to see an event that happens, and there's so much more we don't know. And we don't need to know. That's what makes it still amazing. That's what makes it watchable, on rewatches. It's what makes it brilliant, is that we just don't know. We don't know what happened at Hadley's Hope. We just don't know. And you're reading, they died taking it off and all this stuff, and your imagination goes, wow, it must have been horrific. And that, oh yeah, it must have been, imagine being in this colony and everyone dies apart from the little girl who got away because she hid. It's like, oh wow, it must have been fucking horrific. Don't want to see it. Don't want to see it, don't want to know, because that's what keeps that. We still don't know. It still holds something. So I don't like the colony thing. I think it ruins a bit of the mystery, and it all unravels as we watch it. As Ripley learns. She's the protagonist. We're watching her go through all this. She's learning as we're learning as she learns, etc., etc. Sentry guns. Oh, it's just... I can't help but think the sentry gun thing is just, it's a double, it's a repeat. It's a, oh look, the firing. Wow, it's a shooting gallery down there. Next. Oh, it's more shoot. It's like, dude, the sentry guns could take out most of the aliens, right? The whole point is we want a horde of them, not to wipe most of them out. It's a weird, it's like, shot, and then we do the exact same shot again, apart from there's a line where, well, we scared them off because they don't know they haven't run out of bullets. It's like, I also don't like the fact that the aliens just walk down the corridor. Let's just waltz down the corridor and see if we can get in that way. I kind of think that with the barricades and stuff, that the aliens already know that this place is barricaded up, so they wouldn't try such an obvious route. And they go down there, one gets shot, and you go, well, we're not going to go down there. The fact that they keep on at the guns and 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 at the guns and at the guns makes the aliens stupid. So I think it takes away. Humans wouldn't do that. Fucking dogs wouldn't do that. I think that the sentry gun scene makes them stupid. And people go, yeah, but I love the sound of the guns. It's like, if it's that vapid, come on now. And then the Dwayne and Ellen bit. Dwayne, my name's Dwayne. Helen, oh, fuck off. That's just cheesy shit. James Cameron does obviously. James Cameron wrote that. I think James Cameron, with that exact dialogue, I think James Cameron invented cringe. Fuck off, it's horrible. Now, that's the deleted scenes finished with, which is not actually my main problem at all. This is kind of like a little side quest, right? I think there are one or two things that are wrong with Aliens. So I'll go massive broad. One of the big, I don't like the Queen, right? And I know a lot of people don't actually. The model is amazing. The sculpture is amazing. To say that Giger didn't have anything to do with it, oops, put a U in there. To say that that Giger had nothing to do with the Queen, I think the Queen design is it's awesome. I think it captures the aesthetic of the Alien. I think that it's one of the best additions to the original. You know, so you have the original, right? You have the original Alien. And, you know, that's done by some crazy Swiss artist. And that was turned from a painting, Necronomicon, is it number 5? A painting. You transform that into a creature. And Giger did that, right? Giger did that. It's fantastic. And then you're having a go at making the Queen that fits in, doesn't counteract it. It fits in with this whole idea. I'm like, cool. I like that. It looks fantastic. Do I like the idea of the Queen? I don't mind it. I know people turn around and said it made it this stupid structure hierarchy, blah 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 blah. I think the sentry guns are what make the aliens just a normal bug, like they're like arachnids in Starship Troopers, where I think the aliens are a lot cleverer than that. I think that the aliens should be treated with a bit more respect than just cannon fodder. I think that something's ability to be shot is not making it cannon fodder. It's how they behave. And when they assault, you know, with the sentry guns, that's just dumb. The sentry gun scene does turn it into the fact that they just will throw themselves at live fire, which is all kinds of stupid. But the Queen snarling and giving orders, I think, is a bit dumb. I think that was a bit childish. I think the aliens should have just waited until if she screams and then they attack. That would be better than trying to attack and then she has to tell them. I just think the communication thing was a bit weak. I think the Queen, there's loads of logistical problems with the Queen. I think it's when James Cameron said, we'll deal with them on the day. Then it came to the day, he went, oh, shit. For instance, could the Queen get in that elevator? I hope she tucked her tail in. Could the Queen get down a lot of those corridors that you see Ripley go down and squeeze down and get under pipes? No. Could the Queen get into the landing leg bay of the dropship? Absolutely not. It's not as wide as she is, but it manages to fit in there somehow. That's why they had to make two different models, one that the Queen could fit in and one that was the normal shots for the dropship. Oh no, now you know you've got a real problem there. The Queen goes after Newt. It's like she's hell-bent and she just wants to kill everything she sees. I think that they make the Queen quite dumb. And the Queen fighting Ripley also felt dumb. Nah, dude, just stab her with the fucking tail. It just seemed a bit silly. It has got one of the best, you know, get away from her, you bitch, which was fantastic. You know, it is a very powerful moment. But I generally think that the whole Queen thing, it felt like it wasn't required. You could cut the Queen out. You could have her running away from the Queen, but the Queen gets stuck. And then the dropship flies up, and then that's the end of the film. It feels like you've just added a load of shit for no reason. I don't think anyone would think less of the film if the Queen wasn't in it. Well, not in it. She'd do the hive thing. Actually, the scene where Ripley and Newt stumble in on the centre, the hatching room, just say, and the Queen's there, I think that's one of the best scenes in the film. The flamethrower hissing, the music dies, there's all these eggs, and they look up, and there's this thing in the ceiling with all these branches coming out. Loved it. Loved it. I just reckon she should have shot at the Queen loads. The Queen screams. The Queen tries to make it out. Right, breaks off and comes after her. I think the whole, in the corridor looked a bit goofy. I think they should have chosen a better shot, a better angle. But I reckon that she should have just got in the elevator and got away. And then that would have been up to orbit, explosion, thanks Bishop, and then they basically go to bed. I think that would have been a better version of the Queen. So the Queen, there's nothing like plot relevance apart from the volumetrics of the whole Queen. She doesn't fit in these spaces, and she can't fit in these spaces. That's just retarded. James, that's just retarded. They don't make aircraft with excessively large landing gear to house the landing gear and a giant alien Queen. A fucking head wouldn't fit in that gap. It's retarded. So, they don't even do a thing where the leg gets stuck and it can't get out and the Queen can fit in there or whatever. They don't need the landing legs to go up to the Sulaco, which I think is quite funny, because it stood on its legs when they come down the ramp, but it doesn't need to because it's got the harness that holds it up, so whatever. That's rather dumb. So, there is other problems with Alien, so we'll go through with them. I'll try and speed up a bit. So number one is surveying, right? So the survey. How the fucking hell did you survey the entire moon to make a bloody colony called Hadley's Hope and not notice that there's the fucking bone ship there? That's retarded, right? What are you talking about? Surely you survey it so you know where to put the fucking colony. There's no point building a colony here if it's next to a lava flow, you dumbasses. Oh, we missed it. Oh, fuck off, you missed it. That's retarded, right? So James you have to work better, or I'm trying to think how you could get around it. It's worth thinking about how you could get around that. That is a major problem. Number two, it's a common one. It doesn't bother me too much, but it's basically a rescue mission, right? At no point do the Marines look like... Because the whole idea of the film is that they're not really taking Ripley that seriously. They send a small crew with some Marines that should be able to handle pretty much anything, which they should be able to. Right? It's a shame that the dropship and the APC weren't used, but it kind of makes sense. Send out of nowhere this little shitty colony that no one really cares about. It's dark and gloomy, and there's not really anything of much value here. Its value is the atmosphere and future stuff. There might be a bit of mining and stuff, which they would have done a survey for. But apart from that, it's a shithole, right? It's a shithole. Actually, the whole intention for Hadley's Hope doesn't make much sense in the first place, right? It's a small moon, which they fuck up in Alien about the gravity and the size of it, but that's Alien's fault, and I don't know why someone wrote it that way. They didn't need to. They could quite easily just say it's almost the size of Earth. Job's a good one. But yeah, so you've got this rescue mission. These Marines turn up, and they're just packing firepower. They don't seem to be packing anything else. You know, they're going down to a colony that has 160 people on it, approximately. Right, 160 people, and they bring how many rations? Blankets, first aid kits, doctors, anything really? No, they bring fuck all. Yes, I believe, and it doesn't bother me too much, because you could just argue, well, I think that the fucking transmitter just needs turning back on. They haven't received a distress call, they've received no call. All right, so you send the Marines to go and have a look. I kind of get it, right? I kind of get it. It's not too much of a problem, you know, but they should sell it a bit more that basically they're just a house call, right? They're just a fucking, what do you call it now when they go around and make sure someone hasn't committed suicide? One of them calls, right? So it's a tiny bit of a problem, but it's not the worst problem in this film. So the colony gets infected, all this kind of jazz. The Marines turn up, and the colony's fucked. They go into the hive, do the hive thing, get their asses kicked, come back out, and then this is two of my biggest problems. So we'll put a little star against this, because these are writing plot problems. Gorman's knocked out. Hicks is now in charge. Hudson is whinging. Vasquez is pissed off. And then there's Newt, Ripley, and Burke. Okay, cool. The APC, the dropship crashed into the APC, wrecking it. That's very inconvenient, but okay then. They would be flying towards them. Okay then. Why did you get out the APC is a question I had. Yeah, to drop a flare off, but why get out of the APC? Is that just in case the dropship crashes into the APC and destroys it? The aliens might be chasing you. Stay in the APC. The APC has a big fuck-off turret on it. That's one. Oh, there's a sneaky one as well, which actually I'll do here. Ripley gets into the APC and goes and rescues the squad. Number one is, how did she know where she was going? There must have been some kind of map telling her which way to go. That's number one. But number two is, she seems to take those corners as if she doesn't know that's a tight corner. Number two, she crashes through a wall, and luckily she doesn't kill any of the Marines. That was lucky. She crashes through a wall that she knows that the APC can make it through. That's very risky. It's very dodgy. I think that that's too much of a risky dodgy. You could just write that in a different way. James Cameron didn't have to have them crash through a wall. She could just pull up at a bit where they all run out into the road. That would work. That would work. They don't have to crash. They're crashing through a wall just seems like action for action's sake, which is weird because a lot of this film is kind of like that. It's action for action's sake. So they crash through a wall. So there's Ripley's driving, right? I did think it was quite weird. So at number 4, the APC gets crashed into. They then pick up Gorman on a stretcher, and they walk from the atmosphere processor to the colony, taking a child with them over rough terrain with a stretcher. How long did that take? Let's just say anywhere between, we don't know how far it is, right? We kind of get some idea. There's a map that shows you the atmosphere processor, which is about as big as my hand, just say, and it scrolls all the way across this tiny colony. So let's just say the journey, right? So the journey between the two is anywhere between 30 minutes to 1 hour 30 minutes. I don't know. It's somewhere between there. And are you telling me that as they do this journey, they do not have the discussion of, well, they do have the discussion. Hudson says, what the fucking hell are we going to do now? That's a good question, Hudson. What are we going to do now? So you'd feel that they would have had the discussion that, what are we going to do now? And they say, well, let's sing a couple of fires. And then Newt says, well, we need to get back. So they decide, well, we need to get back. Okay, so in that hour, let's just say it's an hour. That hour on the way back, no one says anything. No one says, we need to get the other dropship from the Sulaco. And that is a big problem, right? They walk all the way back. They're exposed, right? And they make it back safe and sound. Where I would be going, well, what we're going to do? Well, we need to get Gorman, we need to get back. Yeah, but what we're going to do next? Well, we'll work that out when we get back to ops. And as you're walking, you know, we need to get the drop ship back from the Sulaco, Hicks. It's like, yeah, I know. It's like, how are we going to do that? And it's like, well, the transmitter from the APC's wasted. It's like, well, surely we could get the colony transmission. Hey, Bishop. He's like, yes. The colony transmitter, can you go and check it out? He's like, yes. Walking. 10 minutes later, hey, Hicks. He's like, yes, Bishop. He's like, yeah, the colony transmitter, it's the connections from ops to the transmitter's fucked. He's like, oh, okay. Well, can you go and patch in and remote pilot the dropship back down? Yes, I'll get right on it. But there's aliens out here, and they might get me. This is from Bishop. And they say, yeah, I know. We're outside right now walking back. You see what I'm saying is, it was okay for them to walk back that distance and not be attacked, but Bishop just can't seem to hack it on his own. He could have got to the transmitter, plugged in, got the dropship to come all the way back down, and by the time they get back to the colony, get on the dropship and get the fuck out. And I know what people are saying, yeah, but if you do that, half the film's missing. That's not how logic works. I'm sorry, but that is a very, very, very big contrivance, right? It's very, very contrived. It's like a reverse contrivance where it's like they all went dumb for a minute, but then a couple of hours later get undumb and have this conversation they should have had hours before. And they had the time and the reason to do that, because all you'd be thinking is, we're fucked. That's what you'd be thinking. So why the late plan? Now, someone is going to write in the comments, well, no, the fucking atmosphere processor was about to explode, so they had to get a move on. Didn't you hear? Bishop said we only have 4 hours. And then Ripley says, how long can we expect to be overdue? And expect a rescue. And then they say, well, 17 days. And it's like, well, we need to go and get this. No, fuck off, right? That's not how this works. They're aliens. We've just gone and kicked, like hornets, we've just gone and kicked the fucking nest, right? I am worried they're going to come and get us. Well, we need to get off this shithole because they were about to get off the shithole. The reason why the APC has exploded is because the dropship crashed into it. Why did the dropship crash into it? Because they were about to get lifted off into orbit so they could nuke the place. Since when did the plan change? Dropship crashes into APC, and then we got, we've got another one, right? Yeah, well, let's get that one. Oh, boo, we can't, because the APC fucky bang bang. Well, go and get the Metal Man, Tin Man, to go and talk to the computer and order a fucking Uber dropship. Was that not the plan? I'd be like, we need to get off this fucking shithole because the people who were here before all died. And there are a few of us now with less weapons. It's retarded. It is actually quite retarded. This is almost Alien Earth retarded. But everyone, it's very nicely hidden. The next problem, which is a major problem because everyone's life depends on this. So what we're going to do? Well, what we'll do is we'll barricade ourselves in. Right? So I'm going to draw ops. This map is accurate. This map is super, super accurate. There's a corridor outside that Vasquez and Hudson go through. Then there's a door here. There's a door here. Right? And this walkway goes all the way around. Right, like this. And then there's a door here at the back where there's a rack of loads of computer stuff. And then there's a little room here. And in this little room, there's another door. And that's where Bert goes. And then there's an access to the ducts. This goes to the ducts. Right? So what happens? Hudson, Vasquez, get back in here. So everyone runs inside and points their guns at the door. So we have Ripley, Hicks, Hudson, Vasquez, all pointing at the door. Gorman's back here with Burke. They're all pointing at the door. They then weld this door shut. So that door is now shut. They then all leg it. Burke takes he fucks off into medical or wherever and an alien gets him. Right? But he locks this door so they can't go. They all get into this room and then they weld this door shut. And then Newt goes, let's get the fuck out of Dodge. Sorry, what? Let's get through this panel that you just lift on off with your bare hands that gives us access to the rest of the colony. Genius, Newt. Wait there. Can't the aliens come up the other way? Remember, this door was unlocked. It's a panel. You just lift it off. The aliens are trying to work out a way to get into the... And this is the problem. The sentry guns make this worse. We went the 2 ways to get in, and we couldn't get in. So the aliens are trying to find another way to get in. Luckily, we left this duct completely unobstructed, and it's just lift it off. and we can get in. And it's literally human size. So aliens can get down it because we see them do that exact thing. And this network of ducts is how the aliens would move around. This network of ducts connects all the colony to the rest of the colony. Oh, fuck. So, it's an escape route. It's an escape route the aliens don't use. Which is a big, massive, alien-sized 8.5-foot fuck-up. It's just lucky the aliens don't use... And the thing is, when they're crawling through the corridors, the aliens coming down the ducts from above. They're coming from all sides. When Vasquez and Gorman are together, alien comes this side, alien comes this side. Vasquez fights one that comes down from above. So they do know how to use the ducts, and they seem to be able to use the vertical ones as well as the horizontal ones. What a fuck up. It's a big, major fuck up. They left this big... While they were welding this door, the aliens just walk in. Fuck it, they'd be right. The aliens can come under the floors. That's how they get Hudson. The alien just walks into medical. That's how it gets to Burke. I don't know how the fuck it manages that. Just, oh yeah. Did you not secure these doors either? Because Burke just runs through this door, and then bumps into the third alien. At this, just say it's this door. Just says, and this map isn't accurate. I was taking the piss. But let's just say that's a door there, and that's the one that Burke, the alien, gets him. And aliens know how to open doors because Burke gets to the door, the power is off, and the door slides open because I imagine that the alien is pushing it open. So the aliens know how to open doors. Crazy. Crazy. So, that's really it. There's not much more to this. The rest of it is quite tight. The rest of the script is quite tight. There are some things that people... usually miss. Like, the Marines are dumb as fuck. Right? The Marines aren't good. The Marines aren't a good fighting force. They are constantly told by their sergeant to do very, very basic things, like check those corners, stop bunching up. I want a clean dispersal this time. Hudson's constantly been told to behave himself. They're clowning around, fucking around. They don't take any of it seriously. They don't listen to their CO. It would have been, people say, yeah, but Gorman's green and shit. Yes, but it doesn't help. How is it going to help get any better if people aren't listening to him? I've been in the military. We used to have COs that were like straight out of Sanders, that were like 24, 25. You had to listen to them. It's just the way it goes. That's why rank systems work. Vasquez been told not to arm her weapon. And I know people are going to say, yeah, but she probably saved everyone's life there. But that's not the point. She also might have caused an explosion that blew up blew up everybody. It's lucky it takes 5 hours. I know they say 4, but it took them time to get back to the colony. It's lucky it only took 5 hours to make the fucker explode. Bishop could have gone, oh, look, emergency venting. How long we got, Bishop? About 10 minutes. Yeah, it could have quite easily been that. It's just convenient. It's 4 hours, and then it's going to take about 4 hours for the dropship to land. Oh, well, 3.5, just say. So, yeah, it's quite strange. The other thing I found out, which was quite funky, was we don't know how long it takes, but I thought that the timing that Bishop gives for the dropship was rather weird. I thought for a planet that has the gravity of the Earth, pretty much, then the orbital rate of the Sulaco around LV-426 would be about 73 minutes, about the same as it is for Earth, somewhere around there, to put you in a position so you can drop. But that would be if you've just passed over and now you have to wait. It should be 4 or 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. It should be something like that. The actual drop time... Why does it take... I think he says half an hour's flight. I'm like, why? Why is it half an hour's flight? You're dropping from orbital velocity. Holy fuck. That seems a bit slow. And you'd think that the Sulaco would put itself in an orbit where it passes over where the colony is. And you'd think it'd adjust as it goes, like it's automated. People have said, why isn't the Sulaco locked? You don't usually lock your tank or your warship when you're at war. You don't get out and just and lock your tank. You don't usually do that. It just seems a bit of a weird something that's in orbit in the middle of back-arse nowhere. It just seemed a bit strange that they were like, why isn't there a bigger crew? Because they're not taking this seriously. That does go towards that. And then there's one other problem that I have. It isn't an actual flaw with the film. I just feel like it was unnecessary. So this isn't a flaw. I just want to talk about this as a concept. They go down to the colony. They don't rescue the colonists. They barely get away with their lives when the APC gets exploded by the dropship. Then they call down the other dropship, which doesn't have an APC, which I always thought was a bit strange. But they call down the other dropship, and then that dropship rescues them, basically. You know, that dropship arriving is what saves them. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And it's like, why is the colony exploding? I've always thought this. So you're James Cameron, and you're like, well, the colony has to explode. I'm like, why? Why does the colony have to explode? Think about it for a second. Let's think about what would happen in the film if the atmosphere processor wasn't to explode. What would happen? Well, it's clear. They would sit in the colony. Let's go to the scene where they, they say, right, well, the emergency venting doesn't happen. They would still say, we need to get the fuck out of here, just in case the aliens get us. Because the aliens do. This attack on them that has Gorman, Vasquez, Hudson killed, and Hicks his injuries are debilitating, and we lose Newt, has nothing to do with the atmosphere processor exploding. Bishop fucks off, so Bishop would be there otherwise, but Bishop fucks off to go and get the dropship down, which is what I'd want. I don't want to wait 17 days, just in case we, 1, run out of food, 2, go insane, or 3, the aliens kill us, which they nearly do, right? So the colony, the atmosphere processor is not going to explode, and we don't know what actually causes it. We don't know if it's the dropship crash. We don't know if it's Vasquez Vasquez is enjoying heavy metal and she's rocking. We don't know what it is. One of those things caused the atmosphere processor to shit itself. But let's imagine it didn't. So Bishop fucks off to go and get the dropship. They wait. The colony is attacked. And weirdly enough, Burke trying to infect Ripley and Newt doesn't have anything to do with the aliens' attack. So it makes no difference. You can actually cut that bit out. I'm not saying you have to. I'm saying even that is not dependent on anything exploding or anything. Right? It's a separate entity, which is quite cool in a sense that these multifaceted little things are going on. And it like I said, one of the reasons why Aliens is so good, because loads of people are doing different things to different motives, which is quite complicated. That they all don't rely on the one single item. They all don't coalesce to that one thing. People have got different reasons to do different things. Bishop is doing as he's told and he's off there to go and get the dropship. They're trying to barricade themselves in to try and stop the aliens fighting. Meanwhile, Burke's got other ideas, right? He wants some fucking sucky $10 and he wants Ripley to have a handshake off a facehugger. So, okay then, cool. None of that changes. The aliens attack ops. It goes down exactly the same. Bishop turns up with the dropship. You remember, the atmosphere processor is not exploding. It's fine. There's no emergency venting. Nothing's going to blow up. They could even have that conversation without the emergency venting. They could just go around and say, Ripley could just say, you could edit it so Ripley just says, so how long do we have to wait for a recovery, to be declared missing and someone come and help us? 17 days. You know what I mean? And then Hudson could say, dude, we're probably not going to last 17 hours with those things running around. It all fits without the atmosphere processor blowing up. Okay, cool. And then what you do is you say, well, Newt gets taken and Ripley's going to go after her. Again, nothing to do with the atmosphere processor. Bishop says, we've got plenty of time, we can get in the dropship now and fuck off. And she says, no, Newt, which has nothing to do with the atmosphere processor. Apart, Bishop just wouldn't have to say, we've got plenty of time. He could say, the dropship's here, let's go. So then they fly to the atmosphere processor. And this is the thing. There's all the electric arcs at the atmosphere processor. It looks bad, it looks goofy, it really ages the film. And we don't need that because the atmospheric processor does not need to be blowing up. You can just leave it as it was. Ripley gets all the kit on, says bye, Dwayne, and she goes bye. Didn't get her finger it, what a shame. And then she gets she gets her jugs out. She straps up, straps on, all that shit. Bit of duct tape, wonderful girl. Down she goes into the pits of hell. Spits at a queen, shoots and sets fire to a loads of eggs, and gets Newt and fucks off. You do not need those explosions and all those effects which cost more money for the atmosphere processor to be blowing up. The threat is the queen chasing you, right? You need to get the fuck out of Dodge. It's got nothing to do with the atmosphere processor. They spent all that money on models and fire and rear projection for Ripley to stand on that thing and then drop ships and all that shit. They spent all that money on the clouds and making the nuclear explosion made out of cotton wool to happen. They spent all of that time and money doing all of this B-roll, second unit stuff. They spent all of that time doing second unit stuff, all that money, and you didn't need to. The station, the Hadley's Hope doesn't need to explode. And then they get up in the dropship and go, oh, thank fuck. And then you can still have your queen. Still have your queen fight. You do not need the atmosphere processor to explode. And then once they've done the queen, you could have a scene where you go like this, right? Ripley goes, right, come on, Hicks, put your fingerprints on there. It's time to nuke this fucker from orbit. And then he goes, execute. And then it goes, okay, then, a countdown. And then Bishop could secretly just turn it off. Turn off the countdown. And set up a simulated drop. Simulated. And then basically, the computer could tell Ripley and Hicks that the target's been destroyed. And they go, oh. And then Bishop is in the ship at the end, talking to someone, saying, yes, yeah, it's, that's correct, the colony's intact. And then that's it. That leaves it open for another film, right? The colony's intact. The atmosphere processor's intact. The Queen's there. She's still there. Everything's still there. And that leaves it open for a third one. It's almost like James Cameron wanted to tie up in a big bow, smack you in the face with so much action it's retarded, and kind of close it off. It feels Aliens feels very much like Terminator 2, where he has the last word. He has the last word. The Bourne ship probably got exploded in that explosion as well. That's why it says, 30 kiloton nuclear explosion. Big fuck off thing, depending how far the Bourne ship is away. All that kind of jazz. It's very strange that James Cameron added that the atmosphere processor has to explode when really it doesn't need to. I've always found it really strange. Like, why did you write it that way? Well, it's more action. It's a ticking clock. It's like, but you don't need that. You literally don't need that. All you've done is just spent more money. You've just spent more money. You can have the same thing. You might have the bit when it blows up. But the weirdest thing is you don't need that. Why don't you need that? Because it's a false ending. It isn't the end of the film. She's got to fight the fucking Queen next. We don't need to have that moment. You could just have them take off. And you say, yeah, but maybe the audience isn't expecting something to happen at the end. Yeah, it's the Queen at the end. It's like, yeah, but you want to fool them. It's like, dude, if they just look at the watches and go, hang about, this film's got another fucking half an hour. 20 minutes. You're not really fooling people. And it don't matter. You've got them in the seats. They're watching the fucking film. You don't need to. They've already paid the money. It's not like people are sat there going, do you know what? This film, my version, where you don't blow up the atmosphere processor, this film's shit. I was expecting a giant explosion of some kind of vast, giant construction project. I don't know, like some kind of atmospheric thing, that processes that. I need that to blow up. If that doesn't blow up, this film is shit. None of that happens, right? It just feels like an added layer of stuff that costs you more money in the film. A lot of it looks janky, so the rear projection shit looks dated. If you remove that, it wouldn't be in the film. It wouldn't date it like that. If you have all the electric sparks and arcs of all these, you don't need them janky shit things because they make it look old and janky. One day I'm probably going to re-edit the film to see if I can just get rid of all of that and see really if it makes any difference. But I don't think it will. I don't think, and like I say, you could add this thing because the beauty is that Ripley grows to trust Bishop and then he betrays him. Because we don't actually know who Bishop belongs to. It's always like a thing that I've always thought to myself. It's like, hang about a minute. The Marines are the US Marines. Right? They don't belong to Weyland-Yutani like you hear people say. They're the US Marines. It's a government. So the US Marines are the US Marines. And Burke is a representative on the behalf of Weyland to be there as a representative, as a liaison. Ripley's there as a consultant who works for Weyland. And Bishop is... It's standard practice to have an android on all these ships, but that doesn't mean that Bishop doesn't belong to Weyland. He could report to Weyland. You know what I mean? Like, he could cancel. Or what he could do is he could deactivate the nuclear element of these nukes. So they drop and they hit near the colony, but they just don't explode. They just bury themselves into the ground, and the high explosives explode, but it does very minimal damage. And it just flashes, nukes disarmed, warheads disarmed. And then you find out it's Bishop. That'd be cool. And Ripley doesn't find out. She goes to sleep. And then you could write a totally different Alien 3. Because you wouldn't have to dream up that these eggs have arrived and appeared somehow. Because as far as James Cameron's tied a bow on it, everything's been destroyed. The aliens are gone. So that really cornered them into writing some bullshit like Alien 3. You could have written a better story, but, it would have made it a bit easier if someone goes to scavenge stuff from Hadley's Hope and gets infected, leaves the planet, or leaves the moon, sorry, and then goes somewhere else, and that could be a thing. Maybe that ship lands as an emergency at a prison planet or something, or whatever. Something not so goofy as, well, the Queen last minute shat out 2 golden Easter eggs, which was fucking stupid. And when did she do that? Because, to be quite honest, she was too busy fighting a power loader and trying to get Newt. So, fuck knows. Maybe she can shit them out and throw them and stick them. But, it's one of these things where I don't understand. And, you might say, well, it's tension. So I don't think it really adds that much. Like I say, I'll re-edit a version. I'll re-edit myself a version of Aliens and cut out all of the bits about the station blowing up as much as I can and see if it works. But as far as I can play the film in my head, it'd work. Any road. So yeah, those are some of the problems. I love this film. It's a great film. It's absolutely fantastic. I do not think it's as good as Alien, and one of the reasons is because of this. Because of these things where I'm just like, nah, that's a bit dumb. That's a bit... Why didn't they come out with this earlier? I'd like my characters to be intelligent, not stupid. And if stupid people are stupid, it's fine to have people who are a bit dim-witted or whatever, as long as they're not in charge. You know what I mean? Hope that makes sense. I'll see you in a bit.